And comments, Honourable Member for South Shore, St. Margaret's.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. One of the easiest ways to avoid a conflict is not to appoint chairs to a government agency overseeing $1 billion, in my view, that were warned that they had a conflict, that they were doing business and shouldn't be appointed by that organization to the Prime Minister's office and the Minister, and they ignored it. So I would ask this member to comment, since he sat in these hearings, does he think when you appoint an individual who has an admitted conflict and is doing business with the organization, that changes the tone and results in the cover-up that we have now of Liberal insider dealing and corruption?
The Honourable Member for Cypress Hills Grasslands.
Yeah, you know what, Madam Speaker, I want to thank my colleague for that. He's done a lot of great work on getting us to where we're at here today with this production document. And after 9 years of this tired NDP-Liberal government, this is the continued behaviour that we seem to be getting from them. It's across multiple departments, it's across multiple members of their caucus, and it's up to the opposition to be able to hold this government accountable. We are doing the best that we can to do that. We are happy to see that the other opposition parties are in agreement on this one to try to get to the bottom of this and really make sure that we get accountability, hold the government accountable, but also make sure that taxpayers are actually getting a good deal and a proper deal, and that they're not being bilked out of their hard-earned money that should be in their pockets and not those of Liberal insiders.
Yes.
Honourable Member for Sandwich Gulf Islands.
Thank you, and thanks to my honourable colleague from Cypress Hills Grasslands. I wish we could have had a full RCMP investigation on the SNC-Lavalin scandal. And one reason, I'll just throw this into the mix for his consideration, I don't think we actually have evidence that we know the Prime Minister pressured our former and honourable Minister of Justice, Jody Wilson-Raybould, because the only person we know pressured her was our former clerk of the Privy Council office, whose former immediate boss, Kevin Lynch, was at that time chair of the board of SNC-Lavalin. I remain very dubious until we have a full investigation. I just share that for perspective.
Honourable Member for Cypress Hills Grasslands.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And what I would say that I would encourage that member to read her book, the book that Jody Wilson-Raybould wrote in regards to this, because the clerk, Michael Werner, was acting on behalf of the Prime Minister, but there's also some very interesting tidbits in her book about the Prime Minister's conduct that he was engaging towards her in regards to pressuring her towards getting to the deferred prosecution agreement. So there is actually substantive evidence that is out there, but you know what, I'm not the RCMP.
The Honourable Member for Beauport-Limoilou. Thank you, Madam Speaker. In any discussion of documents, the issue of redaction comes up, so some information is hidden. It makes sense that the government would hide, for example, personal information and people's names. That's a matter of basic ethics. We wouldn't want to witch hunts, which can sometimes lead to mistakes. Here's my question. Would the member accept documents that have only personal information redacted?
Well, I want to thank the member for her question. You know what, I think there is a fine line here about naming individuals. Now, if it's just that it was the name of a public servant that was working on a certain case but wasn't a person who was part of the conflict, then of course that particular individual would have the right to privacy. Where I want to make sure that we get this right, if you are applying for public funding, and like Christian Firth, for example, you are found to be stealing money from the taxpayer, committing fraud to the taxpayer, absolutely your name should be published. People deserve to know that individuals have been committing wrongful acts towards this place, towards the taxpayer. And in that case, those people's names, they should be listed. But when it comes to people who are just simply doing doing their ordinary job and they are not in conflict and they're doing good work, those folks, I do think they do have a right to privacy. But if you're on the wrong side of the law, especially when it comes to taxpayers' money, because this is a public place, anything that has to do with the public place, the public purse, it is an honor and a privilege higher than any other that we have in this country, and it needs to be taken with utmost serious. This government has no desire to take it serious.